Okay, good morning, good day to everyone. It's a bright early morning here in New York at 5:15, 5:30, and it's 12:15, 12:30. So it's time for Chasidus. First of all, I want to let everyone know that I'm starting a daily podcast called Jewish Inspiration. So it'll start on Thursday or Friday, Mitzvah Shem. 3 minute short, a word, a story, an anecdote, something to inspire your day. So look forward for that, okay? I'll email when I get the address. I'll WhatsApp the address to everyone in case you want to follow that. Okay. Now we are on page 350 in the Maamarim. We're getting closer. We're getting closer to the end. But what we learned last time briefly is the importance. Rabbi Sai, please. I really mean it. I'm recording this. People are watching. It goes on to YouTube. Come on, let's calm down. So, we are, because whatever silly things you say are being recorded, and it's going to be, the whole world will know about it. Now, if you want them to know you that way, be my guest. And I'm just joking. I'm just saying, don't worry, they don't hear really, they hear me, they don't really hear you. They don't really hear you. They don't really hear you. What?
Yeah, it's usually good. I don't know what it is. I don't know, Rabbi, check your internet connection, Rabbi.
It's fine.
Okay, now we're good. Now you're back. We lost you. We lost you for a few minutes.
Okay, page 350, bottom of the page. So the last thing that the Rebbe said here was a beautiful Chazal. Chazal say, just as the world cannot exist without winds, without different sides of the world, so too the world cannot exist without the Bnei Yidden. And the Rebbe explained that's because of the Koyach HaTorah, that the word Yisrael, which is the word for a Jew, a Yid, is Yeshishim Ribui Oisias L'Torah. There's 600,000 letters in the Torah. That's the Koyach of a Yid. It's not his seichel, his brilliance. Oh, the Jews are so smart. It's not it. Oh, the Jews are very compassionate. It's not that. The Jews help each other. It's not that. It's all true. It's all true. But that's not the very core essence of a Yid. The core essence of a Yid is Yesh Shishim Ribu Oisis L'Torah, acronym Yisrael. It's the Koyach HaTorah in us that makes us special. So, you'll ask a question, but there's so many Yidden that don't know about Torah, don't care about Torah. So everyone knows the answer. The answer is what we learned in the Maamarim. It's a Mayrosha. It's an inheritance. It's not up to you. The inheritance is given to you. In this case, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave it to us, and therefore it's ours. What is our job? Our job is to explore and find and help someone find the Torah that he or she has as an inheritance. That's basically the message that we learned in the previous chapter, and now we continue on 350, bottom of the page, the new chapter. With the previous explanation, it'll also help us clarify the verse, which means you shall consume all the nations. In moving, seemingly, this is not understood, not clear. What's this word achila? You eat food, Yonason. You don't eat people. Cannibals eat people. Mention, and especially Yidden, don't eat other people. And of course, we're not talking about the colloquialism. He ate him up. He swallowed him up. He destroyed him. We're not talking about in that sense, at least not in the question stage. Let's see how the Rebbe develops the idea. The haloi lav b'nei achilu ninu. They are not, people, nations, are not edible. They're not b'nei achila. They're not men of food, of eating. To understand this, the idea is Just as a person when he eats food, he becomes stronger. Seemingly it's not understood. The Adam who medaber, a man is a talker, a speaker, a human. How is it that he receives his vitality from vegetation and the living? Those that are, people who eat, meat and chicken food is chai, they eat a chai. Tzemeach are, people who don't eat vegetables, okay? But they still are benefiting from a tzemeach. So the question is, listen to the question, Yehuda. How is it that I'm a daber? Right, there are 4 species. Doimim, tzomeach, chai, medaber. David. Domim is the inanimate, the rocks, the soil. Tzomeach is the growth, vegetation. Chai is the living, the animals. Medaber is the human, right? The human species. So when we humans eat vegetation and chai and animals, we are stooping down, and we're a higher species. That's his question. Elo sheloyal, top of 351. This concept coming up is from the Alter Rebbe originally and developed very nicely here. It says in the verse, not just on bread does man survive. Ki al kol moitzi pi Hashem yichyodem. Man survives also on everything that comes out from Hashem's mouth. In other words, when we eat bread, what is it that's making us survive? Is it the physical dough, whether it be whole wheat grain or otherwise? Or is it the Devar Hashem, the Motzi Pi Hashem, the word of God that's within the bread, within the flour, and ultimately the bread that we consume that makes us live and gives us koyach? Says the Torah, the holy Torah Kadosha, says, Ki al kol Motzi Pi Hashem yichya adam. That you live because of what comes forth from the mouth of Hashem, yichya adam. The HaMoitzi Pi Hashem shebelechem, what comes out of God's mouth within the bread. What is that? So he goes back to what we discussed at length in the last few shiurim classes, which is shehu nitzutz detoyu. There is a spark from the world of chaos called the world of tohu that fell, and we're talking metaphorically speaking, fell, it shattered, and it fell into all of material matter, all of Gashmias, including the bread. So we call that a nitzutz de tohu. Harehu gavoya mahanitzutz sheba adam shu me'atikin. Listen to this, fellas. This is a beautiful Kabbalistic idea that has great importance for us practically. There is a spark that came from very on high that fell very low. So that spark that's very low really comes from very on high. What's the classical example given? If you have a wall and the wall crumbles and the bricks fall down, which of the bricks falls further away from the wall? The one on top or the one on the bottom? The one on top. The one on the bottom falls closer to the wall, right? You could see, by the way, this isn't just a mushel. You could see it by the kaisel. You could see before you get to the kaisel. Actually, you can go down there today if you want to take a tour. You could even stay on the platform and look at it. You see stones. So there are stones that are closer to the wall and stones that are further from the wall. And some of them they say are still from the time when the Romans destroyed the Beis Hamikdash and they fell down. So what's the idea? Going back to what we're learning. The spark of Hashem, the nitzutz of godliness that there is in food, which is from either vegetation, vegetables, or animals, the living species, right? That's actually lower the way we see it here. But if you think about it, the godly spark there is much higher, and that's why it came down lower. What is the classical term in Kabbalah for lower and higher in this discussion? It's called either the world of Tohu, Olam HaTohu, or Olam HaTikun. Tikkun means Tikkun Olam, correction, perfection, shleimus, right? Everything is right. Tohu is chaos, confusion. It's a bomb. It's a blow up. It makes us cuckoo, scattered. That's Tohu. Tikkun is passive, calm, normal, right? So, at first glance, Olam HaTikun, the world of Tikkun, is the better route, right? To be calm and normal and organized is really a healthier way. Says Kabbalah, it's true, but one must know that Tikkun needs something that Tohu has, and that's why when man eats from the vegetation and the living and the animals, man attains a spark and something that it itself doesn't have and needs the man needs to have it. And what? Because man is tikkun, and the other things is tohu. That's what he says, that the spark is so great, and it's even greater than the godly spark within man, which is tikkun. V'lochein hu noisen koyach li'adam. It is specifically the vegetation and the animal that gives koyach to man, b'mailas hatoyu ala tikkun, like the advantage that chaos has over tikkun. What kind of advantage does chaos have, David? The answer is there's kind of one advantage. Over the top. Don't accept no for an answer. You can do it. But I can't. I wasn't trained. I don't have the funds. I'm tired. All my enemies are against me. You know, all those excuses. That's tikkun. That's the normal way we live. Tohu, Olam HaTohu is, you can do it. I can do it. How? Just go out there. The Rebbe told people who went to visit Jews in the 50s and 60s, go to Belgium, go to Sweden, go here. And they asked, where should I go? Just go. You'll already find your mission. Like the Baal Shem Tov. They went, the story is with Rabbi Chaikin, I think, out in Antwerp or Belgium. He went, and it was there for a day, and it was getting late. And he was looking up and down and in the phone book and asking, and not one Yid in this little shtetl somewhere in Europe, in Belgium. And at the end of the day, the sun's going down. A woman from a balcony calls to him, Rabbi, whatever language, come here. And she said, the priest came to me and said 3 days ago that if by the third day a Jew doesn't come or call you or meet you and talk to you about a burial place after your life, you should convert to Christianity and I will take care of you. And she agreed because she was a very old lady and she didn't have anyone. And luckily, she saw him before sunset on the third day, and that stopped her from honoring the commitment with the priest, and Rabbi Chaikin arranged for her to be buried as a Jew. Now, it's chaos. Like, you know, you're going out. Where am I going? What am I doing? That's Tohu. Tohu is living with the unknowable. Tohu is living with a sense of, I can do anything because it's not about I. HaKadosh Baruch Hu within me. We call that here the spark of Tohu. If you tap into the spark, it's electrified. It spreads. It spreads throughout in a positive way, and it takes over. And all of a sudden, you're flying high. So this is what the Rebbe says here. Back to the text. So when a person makes a bracha in the beginning and at the end, a bracha before he eats, and after blessing after he eats, with that power of the food. He goes and studies Torah and he serves Hashem in his daily activity in an honest, kosher way. At that time, he blesses and he elevates the spark from it being just, in the tikkun level to experience the Tohu level. In other words, like I've said to you many times, you walk back into your home after such an experience, your wife doesn't recognize you. She might be married to you for 20, 30, 40 years. She says, "Who are you? I've never, are you the same man I married?" Oh, wait a minute. You know why you don't recognize me? I've identified now with Toyu. I'm now no longer the same guy who day in, day out, sleep and eat, bathroom and bathroom, work and computer and internet. No, I am now someone else. Like the story I heard from Mendel Futterfass. There's this fellow that comes to a gathering, and he asks him, "What's your name?" Reb Gedalia. You know who my father was? Reb Yeshaya. What did he do? He was a Rosh Hashiva in Kamenetz. Wow. Ask someone else, and what's your name? Baruch. Oh, you're Baruch, the son of Yankel, the banker in Prague. Ooh. Everyone is touting their yichus. This yichus and that yichus. And he's walking around, this fellow. And they never saw him before. But he knows how to play the game. He picks up the wine glass and pours the wine the right way, exactly, on the right tilt and the right amount, and he walks around. But they never saw this guy. So they all come around him and they say, "You've been here a half an hour. You've been asking everyone, who are you? And we've been telling you about all of our greatness, our yichus, right? And who are you? We've never seen you. Johnny come lately. Who are you?" So he says, I'm Shaike Pfeiffer. I am Shaya, the whistleblower. Right, very apropos now, the whistleblower. I'm Shaya, the whistleblower. In Yiddish, we say Shaike Pfeiffer. To pfeif means to whistle. Now, there are two ways of understanding this anecdote, the story. I'm Shaike Pfeiffer. You guys are big knockers. You have all this yichos and everything, and I'm a little nothing. All I can do is just whistle. So he says it with a brokenheartedness. And Mendel Futterfass, my great uncle, taught me like this, that he answers, "I am Shaike Pfeiffer." True, I myself am only a whistleblower, but I'm blowing the whistle of my Rebbe. I'm blowing the whistle of my rabbi. I'm blowing the whistle of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And if I'm merited being his whistleblower, I'm gonna blow that whistle and keep on blowing and not stopping to blow the whistle, because it's not about me, it's about him. It's about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So he doesn't say, "I am Shaike Pfeiffer, I'm a Nebuch." He says, "I am Shaike Pfeiffer." All you guys have this great independent yichus, but it's about you. It's about each and every one of yours ego. By me, it's not about my ego. It's about him, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And I happen to merit to be his whistleblower. Why do I say that? Excuse me, because over here too, we have the same idea, right? We have the same exact idea. We're saying here that when he makes a bracha on the food, before and after, like he says, right? And he says, "Oz hu mevorech umayles anitzutz." He then elevates the spark. All you have to do is make a proper bracha. Let's stop and think for a moment. Do we make one bracha a day on our food in a proper way, where you stop and you go, this is on a basketball court. You guys, the Knickerbockers versus the Celtics. Here it is. It's the playoffs. The Knicks against the Celtics. Fourth quarter with a minute left. It's 98, 96. And the guy goes, T, stop, time out. And they go into a huddle and they talk and they plan and they try to do their thing to catch up or win the game, right? You have to go, T, before you make a bracha, for a moment, stop and think, who and what am I doing now? And I'm not talking about now, 1 second. I'm not talking about making yichudim and knowing the names of God. That's another process. I'm talking very down to earth. The way my father, a Romanian European Jew, taught me when I was growing up as a boy. Make a bracha slow and loud. Loud doesn't mean you have to scream. Baruch ato Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam shehakol niyah bidvoroi. And I promise you, if you make a bracha that way, you'll think more about the words. You won't rush to eat. You'll eat healthier. You'll eat more refined. That's what we're talking about. And what does that represent? That represents you benefiting from the food. In other words, like this, we understand normally, Yoni, well, how do we benefit from the food? We are hungry, we eat, it increases our blood flow and our flesh. Unfortunately, we get bigger or smaller, right? And that's the way it is. Comes along, Kabbalah Chasidus says there's something else going on. When you eat, you're actually picking up mileage. Not just physical mileage, you're picking up spiritual mileage that you yourself didn't have and need what food has. What does food have? An energy that comes from a higher place, from Olam HaTohu, as we said earlier. We need that. And this, going back to the story, the fellow Shaike Pfeiffer, it's not that he needs them, they need him. They really need him. Because he's all about, he's a whistleblower representing who he's whistling about. They are all pompous, pushing their own buttons. So they think that he needs them. And he came to the event to rub shoulders and to network because he needs these big machers. And the truth is, it's just the opposite. You big shots, you need this little, this Shaike Pfeiffer. Because he is whistling the message of Hashem. And you need that for your success. Yes, you wanted to ask a question. Whoever's sitting here, I can't see.
Boaz.
Yes, Boaz.
Rabbi, I was reminded of recently, I read a sefer by, I believe it's a Baba Rebbetzin called Amen in English. You've come across this sefer?
No.
In short, one of the things she says in this sefer, amazing sefer, one of the things she says is when you say a bracha out loud, we say these brachas all the time and we don't have kavanah because we're saying them all day long. And it can be easy, just a shehakol like we've talked about here, is to have a proper shehakol. In short, she says, when you say it out loud and someone says amen, that it's as if you had full kavanah when somebody answers amen to your bracha.
Okay, so you need to say it out loud so someone else should be able to say amen. Right?
Right.
But if you don't say it out loud, and again, out loud doesn't mean screaming. I'm not talking about screaming. And it doesn't have to be shouting, but in a way that someone else can hear you, because according to halacha, when someone else hears you making a bracha, they're obligated to say amen. Thank you for that. That's absolutely true. Let's continue inside. So also when it comes to what's called the service of refinement, when you refine during the week, the 6 days of the work week, by doing your business faithfully, and from the profit of your business, he supports his children and household. Doing this is doing tzedakah at every moment, and you're getting the benefit of and the virtue of tzedakah. And especially if you use the money that you earn and the profit to educate your children and your family, not just to do a mitzvah in an ordinary, regular, plain way, but what's called behidur mitzvah, to beautify the mitzvah. You can buy an esrig, that's one kind. You could buy a nicer esrig. It's a little more expensive, but if you have the funds, you spend the money on that rather than on concert tickets. Every person does tzedakah based on his capacity. And then people go beyond their ability. As it says, someone who loans a seller to a poor person while the person is tight. In other words, the person might have assets, but right now he doesn't have cash flow. The Yedua Perush, it's known the explanation. It means when the malva is dochkoi, right? Who is tight? The malva. The Olav HaKosov, the verse says, Os tikrav Hashem Yaneh. He will then call and God will answer him. Tishaveya v'yoymer hineni. He will shout, scream out, and he'll say, Hineni, here I am. The Omer Rabbi our sages say, quote, Godel hamalva yosem and anoisen tzedakah. Greater is the one who loans the money than giving tzedakah. V'metel lakis yosem mikulam. And the person who gives to the pocket is more than everyone else. Now he brings it back to the moral. The malva is tight. What does it mean the malva is tight? Because of the golus, the exile. The Rebbe says all Yidden need to be broad, wealthy, even begashmis. During the time of Shlomo Melech, it says every person had his vineyard, every person had his property. People were doing very well during King Shlomo Melech's time. During the time of Golus, they're pressured, they're tight. Remember, this Maimah was said in 1924. You understand what was going on in 1924 in Russia and in other parts of the world. Things were not rosy for us Jews, that's to put it mildly. So when a person knows that the real purpose and intent of Hashem sending us into exile is in order to refine the darkness of that place that we're sent, through the service of Torah Tefillah, and you involve yourself in refining the world through working and elevating your situation, your workplace. Then you actually elevate the spark in the material matter. The idea of doing your work faithfully, and specifically not just doing honest business and not cheating and all that. And more specifically, within honest business, you have in mind in your work to refine the godliness in the work. And that means by saying a Dvar Torah, by doing something good for someone else, by giving someone employment. In other words, you have a factory, and your main thing is to employ Jews. You know, they say about the B&H on 9th Avenue that the Satmar Rebbe, Rabbi Yoel Teitelbaum, told them when they opened up the business. I met one of them once at a wedding here in Borough Park. He told them, if you will employ other Yidden, you will have atzlacha. He gave them that bracha. And they do that, and they don't discriminate between Lubavitch and Sapir and Litvak and Sfardi, anyone that they're able to give a job, and they give hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people jobs. My own son was working there for a few years. He got his training, and he went on to something else. But they opened the doors for him, and hundreds of such people. And that is that's called birur. You want to know what birur means, Yehuda? Birur means that you find ways in your work, in your job, to help another Yid somehow. There's helping. You give a check, you give tzedakah. That's of course help. But there is also in the workplace. You know that the Rambam writes, I think it's the Rambam, that one of the greatest tzedakahs is helping people put them on their feet so they can stand on their own feet. So you give people opportunity to grow. Whether it be you give them the training, you give them training. They didn't get it. They learned in yeshiva all their life for whatever, and they didn't get training. They didn't go to college. They didn't go to school. They didn't go to Torah college. So you give them training now. You pay for their training if you're able to, or you give them a job. So whatever the case, let's go further. And as our sages say, the Godel Hanena greater is one who benefits from his effort more than the fear of heaven. Why? Over there, by the words "v'toiv lach," it will be good to you, is not written in the Torah where it talks about the fear, your fear of God. V'yadua, the Yisrael al yedei avodas habidurim lemata. It's known when Yidden refine the world here below. Omasa matn ben munan, they work faithfully. Mamshichim chidush hayishanos. They draw down a renewal of the old. Bedugmas avodas habidurim, similar to what the process of refinement shalam malachim of the kings of the angels. B'shir, u'v'zimra, with song and music, shalahem l'mayla. Right? So the malachim, the angels, we say they sing to Hashem. What do they accomplish? They refine the world through their singing, their music. Oh boy, a heavy idea in Kabbalah. The idea of drawing down the renewal of the old. Its source is in an external unity of father and mother. I'm not going to go into this right now. I'll just paraphrase it with the following idea. The idea being is that to renew something that is old touches a deep place. When I came to Bet Shemesh, in 2017 in the summer, and Shmuel and I decided to open the kollel. So I remember I was talking to some other people, and they told me, there are a lot of people here that are stale. They're great people. But they're not, their Yiddishkeit is just the same old. He said to me, if you could renew their excitement, the excitement for a mitzvah, the excitement for learning, the excitement for helping another person. They're doing it, they're doing it by rote. Now the truth is, it's for everyone this way. It's not just, there, it's everywhere. To be every time you put on tefillin every morning, right? We put on tefillin. Is it like we're doing it for the first time? Is it fresh? So what we're learning here in the Maamarim is chidush hayishanos. You hear, David? To renew the old is tremendous. Remember, you're 60, 65, 70, 75. You're already retired. You're thinking of Mashiach. You're thinking of your grandchildren. But you yourself are tired. Chidush hayishanos. We need to renew the old. You got to be as a fresh, young guy. And you want to know the secret? What's the secret to that? The secret to that is hang around young people. Here we had in our shul here a person who was called the Zaidi of the shul. Everyone was 30 to 50, and he was 70 to 80, and he lost his wife Nebuch, and he was for many years single. And he davened with us, and you could see how he was alive and joking and making noise, and he was the fun guy in the shul, and he's the oldest person with the white beard in the shul, right? But being around young people keeps you young. I mean, that's just on a practical level. If you want to stay young, hang around guys like Yehuda with their black beard. They're young guys. Having young guys is a whole different experience. And I want to tell you. The Rebbe, our Rebbe, when he took over from the Frierdiker Rebbe in 1950-51, the previous Rebbe had a small group of elderly people who were war-torn or communist-torn, and they were really, it was the American boys when he opened the yeshiva in 770 in 1940. These was the Groners, the Posners, these guys were 16 and 17 and 18, and the Gordons. These are all Chabad families today with large families, but they were yeshiva bacharim, right? And they started to, besides learning, they were going on Shabbos to make Mesiba Shabbos, and then J.J. Hecht, the Hecht family. They made the release time Wednesdays. They went around. They had in 1940s 10,000 Jewish children being taken out every Wednesday for 1 hour. It was called the 1 hour release time to learn about Yiddishkeit. And I know people in Eretz Yisrael who I met on the street in Rechavia, who stopped me and said, I am from today because of release time. You would never know. He's 75 years old. You'd never know. It happened to me just last year. And he said, my brother is so-and-so, and if not for my brother who schlepped me to release time, because he was in release time, I wouldn't be here today. And he's not a chassid. He's not wearing a gartel. Who cares? Who cares? He came back to being a yid, So why am I saying this? Because young people build. You cannot build an organization, a successful one, and the future without young people. Older people are very good and very important as advisors, as consultants. But who are the foot soldiers? The bacharim, the students. They go out. They have the energy. So we, older people, need to, recognize that and acknowledge it, not fight it, And the Rebbe and his staff, they were so smart that although they were old shtetl people, Rabbi Chadakov, the Rebbe, Rabbi Mendel, these were from a different world, right? But they saw that America needs something else. It needs the youth. So in the 50s, the entire emphasis was on the youth. So they started with the bacharim, and then they went to the women, and then they went to the 1980s, started with the children. In other words, if you give a look now on Chabad and you see this army, and you ask yourself, I ask myself, because I'm part of the army, and I was in the army in the 70s and 80s, and I look at the army today, it's exponentially just way beyond anything I could imagine. And the answer is only because of the youth. The youth have taken this to another level, a level we could have never anticipated. So we're learning over here. I'm saying all this, when we learn Chasidus, it's important to try to bring it back home. We're talking here about Chidush HaYeshanos, renewing the old, renewing the stale. You want to renew the stale? Then you become healthier in a new way. And how do you do that? By being around young people, by refocusing and reassessing and asking yourself, why am I here? Did I accomplish my mission? What is my mission? And if you make this assessment, not every day, not every week, whether it's your birthday, whether it's the Yom Neiroim, Erev Rosh Chodesh, it's brought down as Forum. Today, Erev Rosh Chodesh is a time to make a cheshbon hanefesh. The Rebbe always went Erev Rosh Chodesh to the Ohel. It's a culmination of the previous month and preparing for the new month. So today, Yonason, is a day to make a cheshbon hanefesh. What transpired in my life and my family life during the month of Cheshvan? And now the month of Kislev is coming with Hanukkah, Yutas Kislev, and this, this is how you stay young. If you just do the regular routine, it's all downhill. I'm telling you. Even if it's, I'm not saying in a bad way that, even if it's good, but you're not thriving. You're barely surviving. And barely surviving for us maybe is adequate, but for the next generation, forget it. If we're just barely surviving, they are sinking. And if they're sinking, the generation after that is I don't want to say what, right? So we who are the elders, we need to not just survive, we need to thrive. And if we thrive, they survive, and the next ones are just sinking, and everyone is going upwards versus going downwards. Rabbi Isai, we will say, have a good day. We'll continue tomorrow.
Rabbi, Pinchas
Yes.
wants to say something.
Yes, Pinchas.
Kindergarten teacher that my grandson and my great-granddaughter are two Chasidus Wilde Chaim.
Baruch Hashem, that is a great message and a great brachas. A great educator once said, "I'd rather have a Wilde Chaya than a docile student." You know, a docile student means a regular, nice, a nice little boy, as we would say, or in yeshiva we would call them a TLC, a teacher's pet. You know. I don't want to say on the screen what a TLC is. We'll leave that for your imagination. But a teacher's pet. Sei gesund, everyone. Enjoy your day. Make the best of your day.
Yeah, Rabbi. Yeah.